Welcome to the Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour with your host, John Thomas Mumm, and special guests, Cutaneous Bayuford. This is the Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour.
You are on with the Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! Hello, this is Cutaneous Bayuford.
There's a problem. There's a problem with the time-space continuum, and there's only one way to solve it.
How?
Frogs or salamanders?
Frogs. Love. Love.
Frogs are love.
Love conquers all.
Can you sing
Frogs
that?
are
Can you sing that, but replace love with frogs?
Frogs conquer all.
Now try and replace it with salamanders, just as a test.
Salamanders conquer all.
See, it's obvious from that test that frogs are love, but salamanders are not.
I would say that frogs, yes, I would say that would be much better.
You are listening to the Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour.
Good morning.
Huh? What's that? Did you say something?
I said good morning, plain good morning.
Is it? Everything is relative.
I just said good morning. This is an issue, maybe?
My good friend Koppelmeyer, words do not mean the same to all men.
Is that so? So what does good morning mean? By me it means good morning. What is it by you?
All kinds of things. Plans and their fulfillment. A dream comes to life.
Mr. Gerard, you are talking foolishness. I'm talking real things.
Real things? What is reality? You see that lady? You think she's real?
Oh, that lady is not real, huh? I made her up from my imagination.
Exactly. Do you understand me, Koppelmeyer?
I understand you are.
Wonderful, you prove my point. The man you see in me does not exist.
You don't exist either.
No, Koppelmeyer, no. I do not exist.
So who is gonna pay your rent?
Why is it that no one ever talks about the invasion of people from Mercury? That's an evil-looking little planet.
Because Mercury cannot harbor life. It can only harbor the opposite of life.
What, and Mars and Venus can harbor life, and the moon?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
These science
Well, we
fiction
know
writers...
it's not going to be invaded from the moon.
Well, there used to be stories about moon men. I mean, I think even up into the 50s, right? Now it's become less popular.
That's true. Perhaps having visited the moon has dispelled some of those quaint stories.
Although some cartoons claim that moon people live underground, which is why we didn't see them.
That's true. And actually, there has been a lot of chatter recently that the astronauts actually did encounter moon men. They weren't moon men per se, but they had a base there on the dark side of the moon that's typically shadowed from the Earth.
Right. Oh, the moon men did.
Yeah, and Buzz Aldrin talked to these moon men and made a pact.
And what did these moon men have to say?
Oh, God, so many things.
Do the moon men have a hive mind?
I hope they do, because if they don't, I mean, they're in for it big time.
It's essential that every drinker understand how alcohol affects his body, and face the possibility of one day becoming an alcoholic. And he should realize that alcohol is a potential menace to community safety as well as to his personal health.
Alexis Lachine wines are full of flavor. Alexis Lachine wines are dry. Alexis Lachine wines are mellow. Drink an Alexis Lachine wine with any kind of food, or anytime you feel like relaxing with a drink. Alexis Lachine, fine French wines.
Have you ever gone through the dictionary, randomly chosen words you don't recognize, and say it over and over and over again until the dictionary definition actually comes to mind? Then you check the entry, and boom, it's like word for word the same.
Oh, I do it all the time. All the time.
We hope to make our meetings with other people courteous by using such words as please. On the other hand, thank you is a simple way to repay those who do things for you. There's a technique to shaking hands. No one likes to have his hand crushed by a bear, nor to clasp one like this, sometimes referred to as dead fish.
For service that is tops and gas that's extra fine, there's a smile for every mile at the SO sign. E-S-S-O makes your car go. Happy motoring.
How did you get in here anyway?
Just open the door. Look, I've got some new records. Let's try them.
But first I have to decide on the material for my new dress.
Oh, just like a girl. Always thinking about new clothes. You always look good. Know-how look.
What do you mean, that know-how look?
Well, it's what we fellas like a girl to have, and you have it, plus.
The Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour, bringing you that know-how look through stereophonic sound.
All right, so on a related note, though, what's your opinion on the frequent use of fruit flies by evolutionary biologists? Because they always...
I think good. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's just they always... You read any studies, fruit flies are always involved. So what do you make of that? You think it's good?
I think they could try vegetable flies or flies that, swarm around some other kind of food. Meat comes to mind.
Well, it is interesting because some people say that since scientists are constrained by a bifurcating rationality, a domineering bifurcating rationality...
I mean, really, what percentage of people say that?
I mean, at least 0.1% of people say that.
Okay,
in America.
Now, what you're saying?
In America. And so I'm saying, well, let's just grant for the moment that hypothesis is true. So let's grant for a moment that scientists are constrained by a domineering bifurcating rationality, which blinds them to certain truths that can only be captured in art, for example, or the expression of ideas through language freed from this sort of dualistic approach of Western Enlightenment rationality, right? So,
truly.
Right. So perhaps that same kind of constraint has actually literally blinded them to the existence of flies that don't swarm around fruit. Do you think that's possible?
That's true. That's true. And what is the definition of bifurcate?
Well, bifurcate would be... Well, here's the thing. Bifurcate would be like there are two kinds of flies, fruit flies and non-fruit flies. So maybe that's the problem. They think, well, non-fruit flies, non is kind of a negative prefix. We don't want to study that. Let's study fruit flies, true. Which are more positive.
That's why they call it positivism, right?
That's exactly right. Because if you're not positive enough, you're not going to get funding. You're never going to succeed. That is why they call it positivism.
You always got to keep a positive mindset.
No matter how bad the storm is, you got to weather it with a smile. That's the slogan for positivism.
I'd call that logical positivism because it makes total sense.
The listeners of the Sonic Pendulum Quarter Hour are quite happy to be privy to this kind of conversation.
sign that they must go on. There's a distant sea where people go just to forget the things that they could never really be, at least not perfectly. And as the sun recedes, they march into the monasteries, naked and despairing, chanting things that you would not believe. It's a fall. Everybody's hanging on to something that they'd rather just let go of. It's a show. They look into the sky for another good sign that they must go on. It's a fall. Everybody's hanging on to something that they'd rather just let go of. It's a show. They look into the sky for another good sign that they must go on.
You realize that it's the simple things, being friendly, thinking of the other person, and showing respect that make up everyday courtesy. Real living courtesy has made the evening a pleasure and a success.